Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in from across the continent and beyond today for a really exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. I know we've got some new faces in the crowd today, both speaker and student alike. And so if you are new to us, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And frankly, those three things are combined beautifully in today's program. Now, over the summer, I had the chance to read an amazing National Geographic article about an intrepid team of scientists and explorers that worked to explore Hawaii, this place that's just an iconic destination for tourists all over the world and one of the most beautiful places, not just in the United States, but in the entire planet. Now, it has so many wild and incredible regions, and this team of scientists and explorers goes and finds rare and extremely endangered plants and works tirelessly to help make sure that they don't go extinct. They are part of the Plant Extinction Prevention Program at Hawaii, and I'm so excited to dive in with today's broadcast with Susan Ching, who gets to be part of this impressive team. So Susan, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm so happy you're joining us for the broadcast. I honestly have been talking about this for months with people.
Thanks for having me.
So I know you've got a lot to share today. If you want to dive in with your presentation and bring that up, we can get underway. I'm going to make sure all our classes have that pepphi.org website at the end of today's broadcast. Lots of resources to keep the learning going. Conservation is such a huge part of what we do, and it's really rare that we have the chance to feature plant conservation, amazing botany live in the field, and in such a special place as Hawaii too. So Susan, you are all good to go. The only thing, I'll just have you press that little high button. You're perfect. Take us away. I can't wait to learn from you.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me, everyone. I'm gonna, I have some notes I'm following. So yeah, thank you. My name is Susan Ching, and aloha from Hawaii. I'm a botanist with the Oahu branch of the State of Hawaii's Division of Forestry and Wildlife, and I work directly with the Plant Extinction Prevention Program. And I was blessed to be born and raised on this island here. It's a beautifully botanically diverse island, and the name of the island is Oahu. So what makes the Hawaiian flora and fauna so unique that I say that it's botanically diverse? So here's the Hawaiian archipelago. It is the most isolated high elevation island chain in the world. We are more than 2,200 miles from either the Asian or the North American continent, or South American for that matter. So there's a basic recipe for unique evolution. There are two main ingredients is isolation and time. So once an organism establishes an isolation away from its source population, they tend to develop unique alterations based on the new environment and also random genetics. So due to Hawaii's location in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's a geological hotspot right under the islands here. And this is my island right here. This is where I'm at right now. And this means that there's constantly been a volcano in this area in the Pacific for more than 80 million years. And so this combination of being isolated and having a difficult time for things to get here has resulted in a lot of unique species here. So how did the things get here in the first place? There's three main ways. Wind. So if you don't believe wind can blow really hard, you've seen hurricanes in the news here, and there's tiny little seeds from various different plants in the world. So they've blown here, they've floated here. This is a whole bunch of debris left over after a big tsunami. And then also birds fly everywhere. So we've got two ways that birds can bring seeds to Hawaii or other places. One is a sticky on the outside, externally on a bird, or internally in a bird, so they can eat a seed and then come here and poop it out. There we go. Let's see. And then that combination has resulted in a ton of unique species in Hawaii, but they're very threatened. And we have 90% endemism. Endemism is meaning that species are unique to an area and not found anywhere else in the world. 90% of our plants are endemic, which means they're very vulnerable, which means that with the arrival of humans and a lot of things that we bring with us, things can become very rare. We have invasive species, weeds, pathogens, cats, rats, mice. Hoofed animals are not native to Hawaii: pigs, goats, sheep, cows. And then, we have climate change. So I created this map based on just points that we've taken of rare species. They could be plants or animals, but basically it shows the whole outline of our state of Hawaii. And we have the highest number of threatened and endangered species in the United States. So this is just a slide showing some of that. Over half of Hawaii's plants are considered at risk of extinction. We have 41% of all the endangered plant species in the United States. There's 238 of our species in our flora that have less than 100 individuals remaining in the wild. And with a recent rate of extinction, we've lost one species every year since the flora has been documented. And so that's over 110 plant species. However, our program started about 20 years ago, and since we've started, we've only lost about 1 or 2 species. So we're really working hard. We're doing a lot of conservation and management efforts. So I'm really proud of it. And how do we do this? So first of all, my job is in situ, we call it. So that's in the wild. There are a few main ways. First, we collect seeds or other propagules. Propagules could be like cuttings or vegetative material. Then we monitor the populations over time to see which ones are declining. And then we survey new areas. So places that people haven't been to for quite a while, or maybe a botanist hasn't been in 100 years or something. Then we find the plants, we control threats. So like I said, hoofed animals are not native to Hawaii, so we build fences. Rats are not native to Hawaii, so we trap for rats. And slugs also, we bait for slugs. And then we plant plants back out into the wild. So these are our main activities that I'm doing out in the field. And then we partner with some ex situ, which is out of the wild facilities. And so it's me on the left. I collect a seed. I bring the seed to the laboratory, and sometimes we'll store the seed long term. They can be dried and refrigerated, and it makes the seeds kind of sleepy, and they just like live in the refrigerator for decades. Sometimes seeds go into a tissue culture, so they're grown in a test tube. And then sometimes the plants go directly to the nursery to get ready to get planted back out. So that's me and my friend Lara, and we're planting these plants back out in the wild. So I'm just going to go through a couple of species that we have worked with. So this is the first one. Oops, I'm going to go backwards. The first one here is called kopiko, and that's the Hawaiian name for this group of plants. And this particular species is called Psychotria hexandra variety oahuense, and it's in the Rubiaceae. This is the same family as coffee. This species is only known from the Ko'olau Mountains of Oahu, so that's one mountain range on our tiny island. And the habitat that this plant lives in is down in these gulches around 1,800 to 2,000 feet. They're usually riparian, which means they're found growing alongside a stream. But these areas, if you can take a look at this picture, they're kind of difficult to get to because they're surrounded by these steep walled gullies with waterfalls that are above the plants and below the plants. And what makes this species different from other kopiko in Hawaii is that it has this very large flower with the reflexed petals. There are some other differences with the stipules, which is like a little tiny leaf along the stem. So we try to identify them as we go down these drainages looking for like this particular species. And so here's one of the populations we visited was in this valley. It's called Ma'akua Valley on Oahu's windward side. This is a video of my friend Matt coming down this waterfall. So on this particular day, we woke up really early. We were dropped off by a helicopter on this ridge above. And we did that because we knew we had a lot of hiking to do, a lot of waterfalls to traverse. We had really heavy bags, and so it was going to be a long day. So we got dropped off, came down the ridge, started walking down these gulches. We had 5 waterfalls above the plants and 6 waterfalls below. And these are some friends that I work with, Kobe and James, and that was Matt. So this area is really dangerous because there's no cell phone service. There's only one way up or down, and there can be a lot of rock fall when it rains really hard. And with a lot of heavy rain, there can be flash flooding. So we've planned this trip multiple times and had to cancel because rains were expected or winds were too strong and we couldn't land. And so this was the perfect day to go. Unfortunately, when we were there, all the trees we were looking for, which we had seen about a few years prior, they were all gone. So we were just there to try to collect from the last ones that we hadn't collected from before. But we have another gulch to look for them coming in January. Moving on, another species. This is a genus that is near and dear to my heart. I studied this one in school. This species is called Hesperomania sweezii, and it doesn't have a Hawaiian name that's been recorded, although I'm pretty sure that it was named. Let's see, there are 4 species in this genus, and the whole genus Hesperomania is endemic to the islands of Hawaii. This species, Hesperomania sweezii, is endemic to the Ko'olau Mountains as well, and there are probably around 100 or fewer individuals remaining. They're declining rapidly. They are threatened by wild pigs, rats, mice, weeds, slugs, and climate change. So climate change brings really, really heavy rains, which causes landslides or severe drought. So the plants are not used to this extreme difference in moisture. They're used to a constant moisture regime. And if you don't think rats would like this plant, there are 2 in these pictures. I don't know if you can find them here. But this little rat apparently wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning every day and looks around the trees for something to eat. So here's one. And this is, I'm pretty sure it's the same person, the same little rat, because it's 2 days apart. So what we do is we trap for rats. We pollinate between individuals. This species it has a greater seed set when we pollinate between plants. And so I'm pollinating here with a stick, and I have a brush on the very end of it because they're really tall. I can't reach all the flowers. And then there's a bag here that we cover the immature fruit with so that we can catch them before they fall to the ground. Through this effort, we've secured over 300 seeds in storage of this species, and that's not very many, but it's more than 0, so we're really proud of ourselves. And then this one is, the Hawaiian name for the group is called alpaca, and this particular species is called Wahine no Hokula, and that means the woman that lives on the upland plains. So it was to have a specific name for a specific species. Hawaiian people really appreciated their flora and knew them intimately, so it's a very sweet name. This species is rare throughout Hawaii. It was found on multiple islands, but on my island, Oahu, it hadn't been seen for greater than 100 years. And so it was a really big discovery when it was found here. And we went immediately out to try and find ways that we could help propagate it and bring it into cultivation. Let's see, there are fewer than 50 individuals. Let's see. Okay, so that's in the violet family. The genus Isodendron is again endemic to the islands of Hawaii. If you've ever seen a violet where you live, most of them are not woody. So it's a unique evolution in Hawaii to have a woody violet in the woods here. And let's see. this is a video of us getting to these plants. And this is one of the reasons why it hadn't been seen on Oahu in 100 years. This is the terrain that its habitat is remaining in. This is a friend of mine taking this video. Helicopter is going to come in, and this is after we've already visited the plants. And I'm getting into the helicopter by myself here because I'm going to put, there's some heavy ropes that are going to go in the back seat. So I'll ride out with the heavy ropes, and then these two guys will follow me later. But you can see the terrain is really difficult to get to. All the flat terrain had been affected by goats and fire. So here's another video. It's a short one of the habitat. So you can see us on the cliff here. My friend Alex took this video. These are the cliffs that the last plants are remaining on. So you can see that not a lot of people are going here, and I did not discover this population, but Alex did, and he was actually not even knowing what the plant was and brought it back, and then we had to identify it. So there's me here, there's Matt there, and the plants are scattered along these cliffs. So I'm going to just show you another picture here. This is while I'm on the rope, I took a photo looking down. We've been bagging the fruit. The fruit are what we call dehiscent, and they'll pop open when they dry out. So the seeds just fall straight down this cliff, and we wanted to collect them. So we put these little bags on them. It looks like little Christmas ornaments. And there's my friend James. I'm taking a photo of the plant with him in the background. He's also bagging plants hanging on this cliff. Let's see. So yeah, we have, so far we've collected from about 30 plants out of this population. And, you know, we need to collect from all of them to get the genetic material we think they need. One more interesting thing about this species is that it was recently discovered again on Kauai, and the way that they found it was using a drone. So that was really cool. They flew this drone over 2 miles, and then they saw it on the camera and were able to go back with another drone that had a little arm on it, and they cut a little piece off of it and they brought it back to try to grow it. So that's a really exciting journey as well. Just a few more species here that I wanted to talk about briefly. We have so many. There's another alpaca here on the top right with the striped flowers. There's less than 50 on Oahu. There's Guania mayennii down here that doesn't also have a Hawaiian recorded name, but there's only one remaining, as well as this one in the very middle, Opuhe, Urera ka'alai. We have 23 seedlings, but no matures are remaining. This beautiful red fruit is called kaulu, Pterolixia macrocarpa. We have 150, but they're dioecious, so there's males and then there's females. And so not every plant is going to fruit. We have a really hard time germinating these seeds. We found out that they really like to be put in the refrigerator. So that's just super interesting. And then they might pop in a few months after being in the refrigerator. And then this Ohe Mauka, this Polycius lidgadii down in the bottom, there are just a few remaining, and we're working on that one. And I just wanted to show a few more pictures. This Alani Melicope lidgadii on the top left, there's only 3 remaining. We have fewer than 20 seeds in storage. It's just a very difficult plant. It grows in its own time, and we're just waiting for it to produce seeds. Yeah, and there's so many more. Cyanea lanceolata, this big purple, beautiful flower. We only have 3 individuals represented, so we're really trying to get this one before all the rats come after it. And then more guys that I work with, Kobe again, and Miles and Reed. And I just wish there were more of all of them, because they are so valuable, all of us that work together. I'm waiting for them to have some proliferation so we can clone these guys. I just wanted to talk more about how we get this work done. We are not out there alone. I call this my panicle of persistent partners. A panicle is a specific type of flowering stalk. And it would just not be possible for us to do this work without our panicle of persistent partners. So some of them are new, some of them are old. A panicle is a branched inflorescence with pedicellate flowers, which means the flowers are on a little stalk. In botanical terms, persistent means that it's remaining attached to the plant. So this could be a leaf or a bud or a scale. We don't want caducous partners. Caducous means that they would fall away from the plant. And our panicle is indeterminate, which means in botanical terms that it's ever growing and ever blooming. So we're always looking for new partners to work with. And I just wanted to show, there's so many plants here that are in need of help. There are more than 100 others on Oahu that are so rare, and they need just as the same level of intense work. And we're going after all of them. It takes time, it takes money, it takes so much coordination. But we're making a lot of progress, and we care a lot about what's going on here. If you need more information about our program specifically, this is it, pephawaii.org, PepHi. And I have another video just showing you, I just wanted to show you how much effort is going into this work. This is my friend James there. He's taking a video with the drone. And we were dropped off again by helicopter here. We work so hard. This is the way that different individuals are found. We walk through these steep areas. We look with binoculars. We survey with drones. We fly over with helicopters, because they're so valuable to us, all of these species and plants. And this is such a special place. But we're working really tirelessly. There's a little trail that we get to this little pu'u, is the little hill that I'm standing on. And I just want to say mahalo for having me. Again, all my dear friends that I work with, and my beautiful land that we get to be on and call home. We're making a lot of progress, I just want to say, and there's rare species wherever you live. So I just encourage you to go out and find out more about your own home and where you live. I'm sure there's rare plants and rare animals that are in need of help where you are. So just mahalo, and thank you for having me.
Oh, Susan, thank you for coming. That was fantastic. And what a cool gig you get to do. I mean, honestly, in this role, we get to feature some amazing conservationists from around the globe and so many different job descriptions. But it's so rare to have someone talking about plant conservation in general, as I opened with at the beginning. And it's the story of it being so close to urban centers. It's the rarity of it. It's the dedication and perseverance for the final members of a species and trying to bring them back to abundance. Like it's a story that has everything in conservation. So thank you so much for sharing your passion and expertise with us today. And now we'll dive in with a nice Q&A with all our groups. So YouTubers, please do chime in. We'd love to hear as many from you as possible. We have a few that have been sent in already, which is a great start. First, and I'm sure we were going to get this no matter what, how did you get keen on plants? Was there a particular experience that you had when you were younger? What's the allure of them over other things that you might have worked with?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I guess I do get that question a lot. My mother talked to me about plants a lot when I was growing up. We visited different places in Hawaii. I got to see the Haleakala silver sword when I was pretty young, and she talked to me about conservation of that species. And I think, I hope it doesn't show too much, but I'm pretty shy, and I just have always been interested in nature and being outside, and yeah, I think plants just spoke to me.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you for that. The silver sword, I've got to ask something, because I've been to the Big Island and I've been up Mauna Kea to see the telescopes up there, and I think is it a plant that's unique to one island and not there? Is it something that I would have seen? Because it's the most unique plant life I've ever seen anywhere in the world is on that mountain. So,
yeah, correct. Silver swords are both on Maui and the Big Island.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Actually, different species.
A neat follow-up. We had a question on that exact idea, which is you talked about a few plants being on different islands. Mm-hmm. Are the islands more or less separate in the plants that they have? Are they uniform or something's on all of them? Are there places where they're more endangered than others? Anything you can share about sort of the inter-island distribution?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's such an interesting one that we talk about frequently. There are so many that, so what we have in Hawaii and throughout other small island chains is adaptive radiation. So like say one seed floats here, then they'll disperse and onto different islands. And then over time, there's not a lot of seeds traveling between the different areas. And they'll each develop their own unique characters, and they eventually will become their own species. So that isodendron, all of those ones that I showed, they'll all turn into something really unique over time. It depends on how often seeds are traveling and are birds putting seeds other places, or are they pollinating? Yeah, it's a really unique question for each group of plants.
Very cool. I guess the example that would be most salient for people would be like the Galapagos finches, like this classic story of evolution. One finch or a couple end up on the islands and then turn into all sorts of different species that we see today. So very cool. Again, when you have sort of law that works in biology, it tends to work for plants, fungi, animals. Evolution tends to work in the same way, regardless of what you're sharing. So thank you for that question, guys. All right, we got one. Is there a dream plant that you'd like to find? Is there like something that you know might be out there, but you keep looking for?
Oh, absolutely. Well, actually, that isodendron, the alpaca wahine no hokula, I got one right here just to show you guys. This was a dream plant. Like I said, it hadn't been seen on Oahu for more than 100 years. And then my friend Alex happened to be going down that cliff. He was looking for another species, and he found it. And he, like I said, he didn't know what it was. And he brought it back up and was identified. And we were like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So this was one of the dream plants. We have so many others that, haven't been seen in so long. And actually, there are still new species being discovered in little tiny nooks and crannies of all these mountain ranges. Some valleys, haven't been visited, or maybe we walked just around it. And there was a new species described from Oahu in just 2014. Yeah, there's new species discovered all the time.
You're setting me up perfectly for this question, which is how often they're discovered. And so you sort of talked about this layered landscape and why it's so challenging to find these places. If anyone's seen pictures of Hawaii or videos of Hawaii, you'll know that several of the islands, and perhaps all of them, maybe not to my knowledge, but have these incredible sort of carved valleys where it's like endless little ravines where it's really challenging to get to. You saw Susan going in the helicopter to get some of these places. So it's one of the most difficult terrains to navigate and get to in the world. And it means that when we go, we have this opportunity of finding things that you'd otherwise never get the chance to see. It's why every time we go into jungle ecosystems, we find new plants. When we go to the deep ocean, we find new species because they're hard to get to. So is 2014 the most recent species, or have there been more that you found?
Oh, no, there's a new paper out, I don't know, a couple of times a year, maybe not necessarily just from Oahu, but from, I think, Maui just found a new bellflower. And it was the same story. They had walked past it several times, just hadn't gone into that gulch. And there's reasons that there's, specific, sorry, my computer's doing something weird.
Oh, that's okay. Take your time.
No, so anyway, yeah, there's reasons why they're endemic to a certain gully. Maybe birds don't travel very far, or, all the other ones had been eaten by rats or something. We don't know necessarily, but yeah, they're discovered all the time.
It's so exciting. I mean, truly, as a biologist by background myself, like the idea of finding something that no one has ever identified and sort of put into a taxonomical classification before is just mind-blowing. Like I hope you get that chance many a time in your career to come, and the team does as well, because it's so special and gives you new conservation to sort of enact. Susan, we had a question about the challenges of getting to these landscapes. You highlighted your colleague rappelling down the cliff, helicopters out to these remote valleys. Are there dangers in your job? Are there things that you need to prepare for to make sure you're not in a situation where you're in trouble when you're out there?
Oh, absolutely. We take a lot of classes. So I'm certified to a heli manager level. That's many hours of study being in a helicopter, and I'm not even flying it. I'm just a passenger. I'm planning the trips. So I'm also trained in rope work. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I feel I have many hours of training for how to tie knots and what ropes specifically to use, and how to attach myself to the rope, and how to rescue somebody if they, break their arm. Hopefully that never happens to us. We've also been trained a lot on wilderness first aid, how to take care of injuries in the field, which we don't normally encounter. And that's because we're extremely safe. Yep. And we are weather nerds. We watch the weather constantly and talk about weather systems. And we're constantly ticking off boxes on our safety plan.
Yeah. So all explorers are weather nerds. I love highlighting this for classrooms. Like if you're doing polar exploration, you're going deep sea exploring, you're out in the forests of Hawaii, it pays to know what's coming on the radar. But you mentioned the schooling for this. So out of curiosity, as a follow-up, where do you go for schooling for this? Is this something that's provided by your team, by the government, or is there like an awesome rope climbing school that you go to with in town?
Yeah, no, we seek out instructors that are meant for our type of work. And sometimes they ask us, they're like, what are you going to use this for? And then we have to sort of teach them like what kind of cliff system we're going down. And then they come back and they might be just rope experts, but not botanists. So we tell them, oh no, we want to sit here for a long time. And they're okay, you need to wear this particular harness, is a little bit more comfortable for that activity. No, we seek out instructors, and we get grant monies to pay for all these things. The helicopter alone is like so expensive, but we seek out pilots that know exactly how to land in these situations. It's not just anybody.
It's so neat. I just, the thought of this in general is something that you, again, as a classroom that's moving today's program, like you can aspire to these sorts of things, and a job that you never thought would end up doing something like Susan, like, botany, plant conservation. From the other people that we feature on these broadcasts, no one gets to do quite what Susan gets to do. So the fact that you get to incorporate these skills into your day by day is just really fantastic. Now, time flies when you're having fun. So we are nearing the end of the broadcast, but I want to just highlight a few final questions before we wrap up. And one is something that I guess pertains to all conservationists, but especially in your case, because you're working with species of which there are so few individuals left. And the question is, how do you not get discouraged? How do you keep up the positivity in the face of these big challenges? And there's 100 or something left, and you see it get eaten by a rat. Like, what's the mindset?
I would say I've definitely been sad and shed a few tears over these plants. Like I said, I'm breaking up right now. They mean so much to me. I spend so much time looking for them and caring for them. And when I get to the plant after such a long journey, I talk to them like, where's your seeds? Come on, I've been waiting for you, and I'm here. And they don't have any, and then I got to come back. But yeah, I do. I think as more years pass by, I do feel a little more sadness. It's a heavy weight to carry, but I have a great team, and we have a lot of fun out in the field, and we cheer each other up, and we are always excited about the new plant around the corner. We wouldn't come to work if we didn't think we were making a difference.
It's the sort of fundamental thing with whether it's combating climate change, biodiversity loss, what have you around the world. And it's something we hear from a lot of our explorers, is this idea that, the small actions that we take, we talk about it, can sound trite sometimes to talk to class and say, oh, pack a litterless lunch, use LEDs, walk to school. Like, those things do make a positive difference. And the more of us that do them have really made a global shift in how we view the environment and our place in it over the last few decades, especially. So I'm so glad that you feel that way at the cutting edge of conservation as well, because it sort of underscores the point of why it's such a thing to we share with classrooms. Susan, thank you so much for your time and expertise today. Is there any final message you want to leave our kids with before we say thank you and farewell?
Just that, like I said, Hawaii is not the only place that has a lot of conservation to be done. Anywhere you are, I guarantee you there's a plant or an animal or something endangered nearby. I encourage everyone to just go out into their own communities and find ways that you can participate in that, whether it's monitoring or planting or just learning more about it. And then, we can make a difference throughout the world that way,
Susan, there's no better message than that. I hope our kids take the opportunity. We've got kids joining us across the continent today. I'm in Newfoundland, which is about as different an island as you can be from Oahu if you possibly tried. But we've got some really, really special plants here as well, like pitcher plants. And so getting to learn a little bit more about them, what the challenges that they face are, and how we can help make a difference is what gets me up in the morning as well. So Susan, thank you so much for this. Keep up the amazing work. We look so very forward to having you on in the future. And we'll end the broadcast from there. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And bye.